I just tweeted this out, but week one starting quarterbacks that won't be playing this week: Kyler Murray, probably Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Tua, Lance, Stafford, Winston, Mariota, Zach Wilson, Derek Carr, Jacoby Brissett, Trubisky, Ryan Tannehill, Matt Ryan. What the hell happened? I mean, these quarterback rankings are going to be pretty damn difficult to make considering the fact that the position has been completely decimated. I will do my best, though, because obviously it's very important to get our starting lineups right for the Fantasy Football Championship matchup. Before we get into anything, make sure you go down there, you drop a like on this video, and if you want to check out any of these player props, you know you can find them on Underdog Fantasy, the same place you can get a draft with us on. You can find the link to Underdog Fantasy in the comment section as well as the description of this video. And when you sign up to Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. And you are going to get our 2023 Dynasty Fantasy Football rankings, which I am very excited about. But I think that should be about it. Let's go through. Let's dive into the quarterbacks. QB1, Mahomes. Do we have to say anything? I'm assuming that we don't have to. Yeah, you don't love the matchup going up against Denver. I mean, they're 12.5, 13-point favorites. In theory, they're going to be running the ball consistently in the second half. We know with the Chiefs, if they want to throw it, they're going to throw it regardless of the game environment. I think we can have Mahomes at 1. And then at 2, we're going to go Josh Allen. Not too much to discuss. I mean, matchup against Cincinnati should be an extremely high-scoring game. We know that Josh Allen does have the rushing upside as well. I mean, you can very easily make an argument, well, Mason, given the game environment as well as the rushing upside, we need to have Josh Allen at 1 over Patrick Mahomes. Who the hell cares? If you have both guys on your roster, you made a mistake this season with your team building, unless it's super flex. Now, dropping down to our next tier, we're going to go Joe Burrow at 3 in that same game going up against Buffalo. Burrow gives you an incredibly high floor ceiling combo. The spread on this game right now is 1 point. I think it should be, I don't want to say the highest scoring game of the week because right now, what we actually have Las Vegas sportsbooks telling us is the highest scoring game of the week, according to over-unders, will be the Detroit Lions and Chicago Bears. So I am actually going to have Justin Fields as the quarterback for this week. Now, you know I'm not a big Justin Fields fanboy. Everybody hates that I hate on Justin Fields. Yes, he's in a horrible situation in Chicago, blah, blah, blah. But the Bears may end up with the first overall pick. So I don't think we can sit here and just blame it on the entire team. Don't think Justin Fields is a great real-life quarterback, but it doesn't matter. This is fantasy. Justin Fields is able to average 70 rushing yards a game. If you have that kind of rushing upside and you have a phenomenal matchup against the Detroit Lions, where the over-under on this game's 52 points. If we compare this to the Buffalo Bills and Cincinnati Bengals game, that one's at 49.5. You want pieces in Chicago and Detroit in your starting lineup. But really, the only piece you want from Chicago will be Fields himself because he's going to take so many of the points with what he can do on the ground. And then at 5, we're going to go Justin Herbert. With Herbert, not too much to discuss. I think you can easily make an argument. Well, Mason Herbert's been disappointing. We need to move Justin Herbert down another tier. Yeah, strong argument, but at the same time, I'm willing to buy in on him. He has a good matchup, in my opinion, going up against the Los Angeles Rams. I think if you're looking at the points per game so far this season, will be a little bit deceiving given the fact that you had no Keenan Allen, you had no Mike Williams for a large stretch of games. I want to bet on Herbert. Clearly, he's not as good as Mahomes, which I want to remind you, people are drafting Justin Herbert over Patrick Mahomes this season. Now, dropping down to our next tier, we're going to go Jared Goff. I mean, same thought process here as Justin Fields. Highest scoring game of the week according to Las Vegas sportsbooks. Jared Goff, the issue is obviously he doesn't give you the same rushing upside as Justin Fields. And also right now, if we're looking at the spread, the Detroit Lions are favored by 6 points against the Chicago Bears here. So hell, there's an outside chance that they're able to just run the ball consistently. They're using a 3-man running back by committee. But I think Goff is a fair quarterback to have in this tier, given the fact that some of these other QBs look to kind of be the same, such as Aaron Rodgers at 7. With Rodgers, obviously, I'd love it if Christian Watson was playing, but almost regardless, I really like the matchup going up against the Minnesota Vikings. Right now, the Green Bay Packers are favored by about 3.5 points. With Green Bay, they're also a top 5 team with their implied team total this week. Now, of course, they could end up just running the ball against the Minnesota Vikings with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, but with Rodgers, I mean, He's looked much better over the past few weeks than he did earlier this season. And I think it makes a lot of sense because he has a lot more wide receiver depth at this point than he did earlier in the year when everybody was hurt. Now at 8, we are going to go Trevor Lawrence. I would love to have Lawrence higher than this. And if it was in a different matchup, I would. You're going up against Houston, where I think we can assume that this is a Jacksonville Jaguars team that looks to just run the ball over and over and over again. I don't think it matters too much that the Houston Texans defense is soft if Lawrence may not be asked to drop back 40 times this game. Which, yes, Lawrence been phenomenal over the past 6 weeks, but if you look at just the pass to rush ratio, I mean, this has been a team that's kind of treating Trevor Lawrence like a light version of Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, where they're not really feeling the need to run the ball whatsoever. They're putting everything on Lawrence's back. I don't think they do that this week against Houston. Now, dropping down to our next tier, we're going to go Kirk Cousins. And in reality, I think we're actually probably going to have Kirk Cousins a tier above. It doesn't really matter. He's going to be at 9 almost regardless for us. Kirk Cousins, a quarterback that has been on fire as of late. And in our Best Ball Mania roster, where we are really rooting for him, Kirk Cousins is our best quarterback. We have Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones, and Mac Jones in that best ball format. So you better believe I hope Kirk Cousins is the quarterback 1 overall this week. You better believe that's what I'm rooting for. I don't know. I mean, I think that honestly, the Minnesota Vikings may struggle just a bit against Green Bay here. I mean, they've been on fire though. And then at 10, we're going to be going Gardner Minshew. Now, I know you had Jalen Hurts practicing on Thursday. So if Jalen Hurts plays, of course, you put Jalen Hurts at the very top of these rankings and you don't consider starting Gardner Minshew. I felt like if it's a 50-50 coin flip at the time of this recording, we should probably rank Minshew as he's going to be starting because that's the player we're actually going to have questions about. Everybody knows if Jalen Hurts plays, you play Hurts. You don't need me for that. With Gardner Minshew, the Philadelphia Eagles obviously were dominant offensively against the Dallas Cowboys in an extremely high-scoring game last week. I think maybe they come back down to earth a bit going up against the New Orleans Saints, where they're not going to have to keep up with this Saints offense. Last week, I believe they were about 5-point dogs to the Dallas Cowboys, something in that range. The line actually kept on going back and forth. But now the Eagles are favored by 6.5 points, where I think they may be able to run the ball. Now, dropping down to our next tier, we're going to go Mike White at 11. With Mike White, I really like the matchup against the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks haven't had a great pass defense this year. With Mike White, it's coming into a situation where we've already had the full-blown Garrett Wilson breakouts. The Jets defense obviously is always a threat to just shut down the Seattle Seahawks offense, though. Seattle's lost 3 games in a row. What you're hoping for is not complete dominance from the Jets D, because if that happens, the game environment may get out of hand. And then at 12, we're going to go Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has no weapons. It's not like I'm sitting here and I'm a massive fanboy of Daniel Jones. But, and a big but here, it's a quarterback that has some rushing upside, and I like the matchup against the Indianapolis Colts. Of course, he's not Jalen Hurts. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Kyler Murray. He's not even Josh Allen. No, he's not going to go out there and give you a ton of rushing production every week, but he can get you 30 rushing yards, which does make a pretty big difference. But now let's go over to the tight end position, and let's start it off with Kelsey, tier 1. Do we have to talk about it? I don't think so. Okay, Kelsey, tier 1, we all know it. Let's go to tier 2. Hockenson is going to be our tight end as of now. And the reason for this is it looks like Deebo Samuel is possibly going to be coming back. Just full transparency, we have Hockenson at 2, Kittle at 3. As we said, I think maybe, just maybe, the Minnesota Vikings offense takes a step back compared to where they've been over the past month. I mean, if you're looking at the passing volume over the past month, we have multiple 400-yard games from Kirk Cousins. While I'm really hoping that continues to be the case, while I also have Hockenson on our Best Ball Mania team, difficult to imagine that you just have 400 passing yards, 350 passing yards on average for Kirk Cousins every week going forward. I'm assuming he's going to come back down to earth a bit, but still, Hockenson's been great. And with Kittle, he's been great over the past 2 weeks as well. I mean, he has been, historically speaking, one of the most, if not the most efficient tight end in the entire NFL. I want to make an argument that if we're just ranking from a pure talent perspective of what Kittle provides as a run blocker as well as a receiver, he's right there with Kelsey in terms of talent. I really think that he is maybe the most talented tight end in the NFL, definitely the second most talented. You're really hoping that Deebo doesn't play, though, so he continues to get this bump up with target volume. Now, dropping down to our next tier, we're going to be going with Dallas Goedert at 4. With Goddard, I mean, he's a tight end that came in and played the usual amount of snaps his first week back from injury. Going up against the New Orleans Saints, it will be a better matchup for tight ends than what you had against the Dallas Cowboys this past week. I am a Devonta Smith fan. I am going to be rooting for him this week, but we need to be realistic with our expectations. And I do think that you probably have Dallas Goedert stealing a few of those Devonta Smith targets, yards, and touchdowns this week. Now, at 5, we're going to have the number 1 receiving option for the Jacksonville Jaguars at this point. We are going to have Evan Ingram, who looks like he's turning into a league-winning tight end off the waiver wire. Matchup against Houston's kind of whatever. With Ingram, I mean, we've kind of been going back and forth between Christian Kirk and Zay Jones over the past month now. Ingram may be in the mix. I think, honestly, there's going to be a lot of volatility in Jacksonville with what player's getting the target volume, what player has the production for that week. It's going to come down to those 3 guys, though. It's going to be either Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, or Zay Jones, and I really don't know who. Now, at 6, we are going to be going Mark Andrews. We've had a million questions as of late saying, Mason, do I play Mark Andrews or Tyler Higbee? Do I play Mark Andrews or Pat Freiermuth? And I agree with you. Mark Andrews has been very bad. There are a lot of leagues I drafted Mark Andrews in the 2nd round in. I am embarrassed. I wish I did not do it, and it is horrible. But while we can acknowledge that Andrews is not coming close to providing you that elite tight end stat line that we were hoping that we were going to get each and every week, based on how ugly and how inconsistent every other tight end in fantasy is, I think we still probably have to play him. And then at 7, we're going to be going with Pat Freiermuth. Freiermuth, I mean, his usage was taking a tick down over the past month, but now he's right back to where he was. I mean, you have Deontay Johnson still as the number 1 target in this offense. It's still a bad offense. I know people may want to go with Freiermuth higher than this. My issue mainly with Andrews as well as Freiermuth is it's going to be the nastiest game ever. If we're looking at over-unders this week, right now you actually have the lowest over-under of the week at 35 points, being this Pittsburgh Steelers and Baltimore Ravens game. And then at 8, we are going to be going Tyler Higbee. Higbee, phenomenal performance this past week. And honestly, you could make an argument to have Tyler Higbee higher than this. My main issue is I think Baker Mayfield and the Los Angeles Rams take a massive step backwards. I think this offense takes a step back. I think Akers is a player that they lean on given the matchup they have against the Chargers, where we know you want to be running the ball rather than passing it. So I understand why you'd want Higbee higher. I'm just not a Baker believer. And then at 9, we're going to go Cole Kmet. Great matchup against the Detroit Lions. Very similar to what we said at the beginning of this video. Las Vegas is expecting a ton of points scored here between the Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions. And who are we to say that Vegas is wrong? At 10, we are going to have Darren Waller. Yes, we did not forget Darren Waller, but I kind of want to because Darren Waller is in arguably the worst offense in the NFL this week. You're going up against the 49ers, the toughest matchup in the NFL, and you have Jarrett Stidham as your starting quarterback. If you can avoid it, please do not start Darren Waller. Do not do it. And then 11, we're going to have David Njoku. I thought Njoku would be dominating for the fantasy football playoffs. I thought Amari Cooper would be dominating for the fantasy football playoffs. And the reason we are wrong on both things is Deshaun Watson's not who we thought he was. Maybe he is next season, but I thought Deshaun Watson would come in and be one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the NFL for the fantasy football playoff stretch. I was completely wrong, and I think we have to reevaluate Amari Cooper and David Njoku because of it. And then at 12, we're going to go Dawson Knox. Essentially, we're just going to be taking a random shot here saying, okay, well, we know he plays in an offense that scores a lot of points. We know it should be a good game environment against the Cincinnati Bengals, where at the end of the day, I mean, we kind of want options in this game because everybody's going to be watching it. Just imagine, it's a Monday night game. It's your fantasy football championship on the line. The only guy left is Dawson Knox, and you're down by 5 points. Sounds like a fun sweat, if you ask me. It sounds like something we can get excited about. But I think that's all I got for you. Of course, if you enjoyed it, please go down there, drop a like on this video. If you want to check out any of these player props, you can always find them on Underdog Fantasy. The link in the description, the link in the comment section. Promo code FLOCKED will get a 100% deposit match up to $200. And with the minimum of a $10 deposit, you will also get our 2023 Dynasty Fantasy Football rankings. But thank you again. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great day, and I'll be good to see you with the live stream tonight.